These foods have been clinically trialed for constipation, but most people use them incorrectly. In part 1 and 2 of this series on constipation, I covered why constipation isn't just one condition and why diet advice only works when it's personalized. Today, in part 3, I'm getting very practical. We're talking about functional foods, foods that have been studied in clinical trials and shown to improve constipation when used the right way. Not trendy foods, not gut health hacks, but foods with evidence behind them. Hi, I'm Emma Sutherland, clinical naturopath, author, and mum. I've been in clinical practice for over 20 years, and constipation is one of the most common reasons people come to see me, especially women and children. Now, functional foods are foods that do more than provide nutrition. They act on gut motility, stool consistency, or the microbiome itself. They're used at specific doses at specific durations. This is important because eating a food occasionally is not the same as using it therapeutically. I have a real passion for food as medicine, which simply means that when we use food intentionally, in the right form and in the right amount, it can really be medicine. So let me share my top 5 foods for constipation. The first is kiwi fruit, one of the best studied foods for constipation and one of my favorite functional foods. A large clinical trial published in the American Journal of Gastroenterology found that eating 2 green kiwi fruit daily increased complete bowel motion, improved stool consistency, reduced bloating and abdominal discomfort. And importantly, it worked in people with functional constipation and IBS-type constipation without any significant side effects. Now, how does it work? It contains both soluble and insoluble fibre, as well as a powerful digestive enzyme called which really helps support gut bacteria. Clinically, kiwi is often better tolerated than bran or fibre supplements, and it's a great first-line food for normal transit constipation. I often tell parents to add the whole kiwi, skin and all, to a smoothie. If you have a reasonably good blender, you can't even tell the skin is in there. My next favourite functional food is flaxseed, also known as linseed, as it's another standout functional food. In a 2022 clinical study, people with functional constipation who consumed ground flaxseed daily for 4 weeks experienced increased stool frequency, reduced constipation symptoms, and positive shifts in their gut microbiome. Flaxseed is particularly useful for people who really don't tolerate aggressive types of fibre, or they have hard, dry stools, and they need lubrication rather than bulk with their stools. Now, a key clinical tip here, flaxseed must be ground and taken with adequate fluid. You can add the flaxseed to smoothies, muffins, homemade banana bread. Don't just use the whole seeds. They'll simply pass straight through and they won't have that beneficial effect on constipation. They must be ground. Next up, prunes and figs, which have long been used for constipation, and the research really supports this. Studies show prunes can be more effective than psyllium for improving stool frequency and consistency. They work as they contain sorbitol, it basically pulls fluid into the bowels, just like Osmolax does. They also contain fibre and polyphenols, which influence gut motility. They're particularly useful when constipation is associated with slow stool transit or infrequent bowel motions. But portion matters here. Too much can cause bloating or urgency, so just start with 1 prune or 1 fig a day to start with. Broccoli sprouts are a newer addition to the constipation research. A clinical study found that consuming around 20 grams daily for 4 weeks increased stool frequency and altered the gut microbiota, the gut microbiome, for the better. So this suggests broccoli sprouts work by influencing gut signaling, modulating the gut bacteria, and supporting motility rather than just providing bulk. So this is a great example of how constipation isn't just about fibre, it's also about gut communication. The next functional foods are oats and psyllium. They're both soluble fibre and they're often better tolerated than wheat bran. Psyllium has strong evidence, especially when it's introduced slowly and taken consistently for 4 weeks. But again, response depends on constipation subtype. In slow transit or pelvic floor constipation, even soluble fibre can worsen symptoms if used too quickly. Now, in practice, I don't throw all of these foods in at once. I choose one based on the stool form, transit speed, if there's bloating or pain, how someone tolerates fibre, and also their nervous system tone. Because food alone isn't always enough. Sometimes it's the foundation for supplements or herbal support, which we're going to cover in part 4. We're going to talk about magnesium, prebiotics, probiotics, herbal medicines like chamomile and globe artichoke, how to use them safely and strategically rather than randomly. Now, if you've tried adding healthy foods but haven't seen a real change, that usually means the strategy needs refining. Thank you so much for being with me today for part 3 of the constipation series. Don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button below. Check out all the links in the show notes for more health empowering information. I look forward to seeing you on part 4 of this series.